Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Blitz Sports Media. I am Ryan Linkletter, and I'm back with my co-host Brady Penn. We are back in the Blitz film room tonight. We got a breakdown of the Commanders and Eagles game, and man, this was an ass whooping by the Philadelphia Eagles, and it started early on, forcing some turnovers, making it really difficult on the Commanders' offense, and ultimately Saquon Barkley with another dominant postseason performance. Brady, what do you think we're going to see on this tape today?
I think we're going to see the Philadelphia Eagles excelling defensively. Their pass rush got to Jaden Daniels. They kept him inside the pocket. They really didn't let him break contain too often. And they forced turnovers. I mean, they forced 4 turnovers in this game. Won't be showing all of those, but they did a great job flying to the football, punching the football out, hawking the ball, just making plays and making Washington's offense uncomfortable. And then on the offensive side for the Eagles, they did what we expected them to do in the trenches. They dominated the trench battle. Saquon Barkley had some big-time runs, which is what we expected. And A.J. Brown finally got on track, which is a really good sign for the Eagles heading into Super Bowl Sunday in 2 weeks. A.J. Brown finally getting going, which we did not see the first 2 games. Looks like the reading of that book might have paid off to some extent.
Finally paid off. A.J. Brown got his due. Jalen Hurts threw for over 200 yards in a playoff game in a win.
Hey, the first win he's ever had doing that.
I know, that's crazy to think about. But, hey, should be in for a great Super Bowl matchup. We're going to talk all about the Commanders and the Eagles. So here we go, going right into the film here. Brady, what do we have on the first play right here?
All right, so first play is going to be a 4th down on that early. It was an 18-play drive by the Commanders at the beginning of the game. This is 4th down. What you're going to get is cover 2 man, but the safeties aren't really playing like cover 2 deep safeties here. You're going to see these 2 guys kind of be ready to jump on anything underneath. They obviously know where the sticks are. They're right over here inside the 40, and Jaden Daniels ends up going to Zach Ertz. Let's roll it right here. So it's really just Zach Bond in coverage there. Run this back for me. Like I said, watch these 2 safeties. They're not getting depth here. These guys, they're getting depth. He has to get depth. It's really one-on-one. But you got Zach Bond on here on the outside, one-on-one. And obviously not really a matchup he's going to win. He's more of a run-stopping linebacker, not a coverage guy. Big-time tackle, big-time in the box. Good between the numbers kind of guy. And as a coverage matchup, he's going to lose every time. But the good news is they did not lose many of these in this game.
No, and I think one of the things when watching this film back is a lot of these shorter out routes from 5 to 10 yards were open. The Eagles ran a lot of cover 6 in this matchup, with one side running, tight cover 2 and the other side running a little bit of a loose cover 3, cover 4 look in this game. I think what's interesting about that is Zach Ertz had a monster day. I know I have another play in here with Ertz having a big play, and it was on the outside as well. So what worked well for the Commanders in this one was that short out route game, right? You look at the spacing that Ertz has here, right, when he's about to catch that ball here at 3 seconds. I mean, he's got 2 to 3 yards on Bond, right? That's pretty good. The Eagles' corners refused to give a ball up over their head in this game. They said, Washington, you're going to have to beat us short and underneath on the outside. The safeties are playing a little bit over the top. Terry McLaurin didn't have a deep ball. De'Ami Brown didn't have a deep ball. And, it was a lot of Zach Ertz on out routes and shorter routes for these wide receivers than they've had this postseason. So the Eagles basically took that away. They said, we're fine with giving you guys chunk plays. You're going to have to earn it against us. And, the Commanders worked hard this drive. It was an 18-play drive, only resulted in 3 points. And from that point on, man, it was all Philadelphia. Let's get into our next play here.
Yeah, and by the way, that's interesting in terms of the matchups. Talk about they were forcing Washington to take everything underneath. They were not giving up anything vertical. I think that if Vic Fangio is smart, he'll take the opposite approach. I know we'll talk about this later on. We'll have our previews and everything next week of the big game, but I think it could be an inverse of that game plan against Kansas City, where they try to force them to go down the field, try to force them to get those big explosive chunk plays, rally and make plays underneath with the secondary they have, because I think both of us would agree that this is a secondary that's a lot, at least more athletic than Buffalo's, and a lot more talented, especially with the youth of Mitchell and DeJean.
100%. So this is the first play from scrimmage for the Eagles. They had a great return to set this up, and you get motion across from the wide receiver, and that sets up this beautiful pitch, right? You look at this point right here. You got Mulata got a guy sealed. Goedert got a guy sealed. And this is going to open up a massive hole over here. You have Bobby Wagner, who is stuck in this mess right here, who has to scrape over and go make a play. Saquon Barkley gets to this point, and Saquon Barkley is going to take off. All he has to beat is this safety at the top of the field, and this is why Saquon Barkley has had such a special year this year. Barkley is going to be able to outrun basically both these guys, make a few guys miss, and there he goes. And that's just Saquon Barkley's talent, being that good behind a great offensive line, and you are going to see multiple runs like this when you run back this tape. I mean, Brady, we're getting probably 5 yards on this carry right here.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Saquon makes these two guys miss and then just makes an incredible jump cut. He's off to the crib at that point. But we talked about Bobby Wagner being a liability out in space for the Commanders in this game, and you see it right here. What he should do is climb over the top of this mess. He should be waiting right here around the 47-yard line for Saquon to try and meet him head on or make him cut to the outside, which he does end up going outside, but with little to no resistance from Bobby Wagner, who is like about to fall on the floor in this frame. You got the corner getting beat, and it turns into pretty much a one-on-one matchup because
this is where Bobby Wagner gets caught right here.
100%. Let it roll here. You're going to see this Jeremy Chinn's not making this play. You got this guy falling over. Jeremy Chinn at this point, he's out of position falling. He just gets off the block. He's not bringing Saquon down here like this on his heels trying to grab him and just halt the momentum. That's not happening with the athlete that Saquon is. This dude squats like 700 pounds. And then it just turns into, can Saquon make this one cut? Which obviously he can. He's got Mike Sainer still looking in the crowd, and he's out of there.
Yeah, I mean, that just set the tone right there. Long play from the Commanders, and they just weren't able to get anything happen. Here you go, Jaden Daniels right here. Right, this is the one thing that worked for them, right? They had Terry work underneath these zone coverages for the Eagles, and I think this is where the Eagles struggle just a little bit defensively. It is these quick in-cutting routes against these corners that aren't necessarily barn burners and play a lot of off-ball zone coverage. So what can they give up? Inside slants, and you see right here, Terry McLaurin, Daniels gets the ball out. McLaurin's got inside leverage. He has linemen working down the field. It's a great play call by Cliff Kingsbury. You have both those guys accounted for. The lineman just gets enough. I think that's Burks right there. Gets enough of him. McLaurin. Oh, this is not that play. Oh, this is the fumble.
Yep.
This is the fumble. But McLaurin scored on a similar play to this. That's why I thought it was that. But
that one's a little bit later on.
This is the play, though. Like, this is what they wanted to do, and you just don't capitalize on a play like this, right? This changed the whole tone of the game.
This is what I'm talking about with the Eagles, where I think that they are one of the best defenses in the league, maybe the best defense in the league. You saw, as I mentioned, Chiefs had a similar game plan last night against the Bills to what the Commanders kind of did here. And there were so many times that we would see the Chiefs make a catch, get yards after the catch with only one defender in relation to the pass catcher, where it just became instant 10, 12 yards after the catch for the Chiefs because of the way the Bills are playing. Watch the way that the Eagles all rally to the football here. You've got Burks in pursuit there. You got DeJean in pursuit. He gets hands on. Vaughn makes his way there. Blankenship makes his way there. There are three guys right here at the football when it gets punched out. I mean, that's one thing I'll say you always see with Vic Fangio defenses. I mean, you got Jordan Davis, who's a 3-tech coming all the way from over here. He's pretty slow, but he still ends up near the play. And I think the Eagles do a great job of flying around to the football, and that is the point there. I mean, even on a play where Washington thinks they have success, they think they've set up a second or third and short, they've probably got 6 yards in their bag there. Cooper DeJean comes in, punches it out. Reed Blankenship's got it. All of a sudden, that is a huge momentum swing. And we talked about in our film study heading into this game how the Commanders could not afford to have the early turnovers. And obviously, turnovers as a whole were an issue in this game, but this definitely fell in that category and helped sway the momentum.
100%. I'm going to watch this next play through so I don't get the wrong play here this time.
Okay.
All right, you got Hurts here. And this is, all right, these are the plays right here that just, I mean, defensively for the Commanders, right? This is one of the highlights we have in here, Marshawn Lattimore just not being the same player, right? Yep. Lattimore has deep coverage here, and he just can't break on this ball and make any sort of play.
100%.
Very slow developing play. There's only 2 routes that, are the main routes in this play. You have 2 deep out routes. You have 2 flat routes right there. everything is, should be covered in theory by the coverage. And then Lattimore's playing over the top too much, gets lost in coverage. Smith wide open on the sideline. Brady, what are you seeing here?
Cover six that you're talking about, because you've got cover 4 here on the field side. You got cover 2 in the boundary, and it literally just becomes one-on-one. You've got this spy right here, or not spy. You got the robber up here next to Lattimore, but Devontae Smith turns it into a one-on-one and just absolutely sautés him with a route, gets the Eagles in the red zone right here.
100%. 100%. All right here, you get Brown in motion. Looks like we're going to get man coverage.
Jalen Hurts takes advantage. Jalen Hurts, not necessarily a great processor, in my opinion. This ain't hard to process. It's A.J. Brown with 2-3 on him, one-on-one with one high safety. It's an easy read for Jalen Hurts as we accidentally get to our next play. This is as easy as it gets. You got Brown heading up top. Safety's shaded to this passing strength here in the field. This is one-on-one. It's easy money. Jalen Hurts has the protection that he needs. You got all these guys winning their blocks right here. Even with the Commanders, 6 guys that they rush here?
Yep.
Hurts time. Gets rid of it. It's just as easy as it is going to get for A.J. Brown. And it'll be interesting to see A.J. Brown against Trent McDuffie in the Super Bowl, because Trent McDuffie, one of the best corners in the league. A.J. Brown, one of the best receivers in the league. But we've talked about, and we saw it even with Matt Hollins, Trent McDuffie against bigger receivers, that's not necessarily where he's most comfortable. He likes facing the speed guys. He likes facing those guys that maybe aren't as brawny as an A.J. Brown type, a Nico Collins type, who actually did a better job than I expected on a couple of weeks back. But that's one of the matchups that I will be very, very interested to see. We know what A.J. Brown did the first time against the Chiefs a couple years back, but obviously that was with Trent McDuffie playing more so in the slot. So that'll be interesting. But right here, as for Marshawn Lattimore, absolutely cooked.
Yeah, Marshawn Lattimore, bad football player, confirmed. He also threw a fit in the end zone after this. You can't get a personal foul if you're trash at football anymore, Marshawn Lattimore.
What he said at the end of the game.
What did he say?
He went through the offense completely under the bus. They were like, so what happened in this game in the locker room? And he was like, yeah, anytime you lose the turnover battle by 4, you're going to lose. Pretty much saying it's on the offense, not us. Dude, you guys gave up 55. You're not blameless here. It's not like the offense turned it over 4 times and you still held them to 20. No.
Yeah, no. Lattimore was bad. I don't even hate this call either, right? You get the matchup you want defensively, and you got to trust. This is a Dan Quinn call right here. He just does not have the cornerback personnel.
That's why you traded for him, and he just doesn't do it. And everybody else here is doing their job. Look, Devontae Smith is covered. Dotson is covered down here at the bottom of your screen with Sainer still on him. Jeremy Chin is right there on Goedert. Everybody else is covered. They've got pressure coming in on Hurts. It all falls on one guy, and the eye in the sky does not lie.
All right, let's get to our next play here. We already saw a preview of it. It is a Jaden Daniels sack, and this just goes to show you that Philadelphia front 4, they do not need to bring pressure. They have an elite defensive line. They have good edge rushers. They have a good pass rush from the middle from Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. And this is what makes them a great defense. They can drop back in zone coverage, and the ball is not out of Daniels' hands quick, right? These guys can get to you. Watch this pocket collapse. You have it collapse from the inside, and then we've seen other times this game where it collapses on the outside too. Jalen Carter is just a monster football player. And that actually might be Jordan Davis in this clip, is it? Yep.
And then I've got
they're deep, man. They got a plethora of guys.
Sideline play as well coming up here. Same play.
Next play?
Yeah, it'll be the same play, but from the sideline, because you'll see when he gets to the top of his drop, pause it. He's going to have – oh, wait. I did not put these in the right order. We got to play in between. We will come back to this Jordan Davis play. I misformatted these guys. This is on me. This is Ryan's play. This is Terry McLaurin to the crib. Let's let him explain, and then we'll circle back to Mr. Davis.
Is this Terry?
Yep.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about with that slant, right? When you play off zone coverage a majority of the time like the Eagles like to do, you have these in-breaking routes that are typically open if you clear these guys. You get man here though, so it's nice, right? But the Eagles don't play press man, which helps for slants. So you get this in-breaking route, right? You have a one-on-one battle right now. McLaurin is going to basically have to rely on Zach Bond taking a bad angle and McLaurin being a better athlete, and it works out well this play. Bond is just a half a second to the side. McLaurin's able to break that tackle, and then Scary Terry, man. He's just a great football player who's been able to showcase his talent with a better quarterback.
This
And
is
I mean,
where
I really wish the Commanders would have gone to more plays like this, but I mean, the fumbles just kind of ruined everything. I mean, I don't even think Daniels played that bad of a game.
this is something that scares me when it comes to the Eagles against the Chiefs and just the way the Chiefs like to attack. We saw last night with routes over the middle with Xavier Worthy. We all know the speed he has. Hollywood Brown. Watch Reed Blankenship, the single high safety here. Watch the angle that he takes after Terry catches this football, and just watch the hesitation. He cheats way to the inside, tracks the wrong hip, gets out leverage, and at that point, Terry McLaurin pretty much just has to beat one man, Darius Slay, to the end zone, and he does it. These are the kind of things you can't over pursue like that against the Chiefs, especially against an Xavier Worthy. You will get burnt like that.
100%. Let's get into this next play here. I think this might be the sack
I think
play.
this is going to be what we were talking about here. Daniels gets to the top of his drop. You see the pressure coming in, roll it back here to what he could have had. So he gets to the top of his drop, and he's got a read that he can hit. He has Zach Ertz here over the middle. If he just gets another second of time, you've got Bond shading here towards Eckler. The safeties aren't nearly close enough to make a play here, and then you got Burks occupied. This can be a first down to Zach Ertz if Daniels just has another second. But that Eagles D-line, it forces quarterbacks to speed things up. They get this kind of pressure without bringing any extra rushers. That's what really makes this Eagles defense dangerous to me. That interior with Carter and Davis can just really impose their will. They can collapse the pocket from the inside out. The guys on the outside, Josh Sweat and Nolan Smith especially, benefit from this, and they can consistently get pressure bringing four and dropping extra guys into coverage. Obviously, the coverage wasn't exactly there. They've got everybody bottled up except for Ertz, who finds the soft spot in the zone, but doesn't matter. Jordan Davis is in there. He's got the sack and just completely disrupts this play.
100%. I think on this play too, when you were facing a defense that's able to get home with four, it's all about getting the ball out quick. And I think the Commanders did an okay job of it. Could have done a better job of it, but I mean, that's what kind of you get with Jaden Daniels as a rookie quarterback.
100%. So
right,
here,
next play here,
Dallas Goedert
in motion.
Goedert and the whole shot against cover three, and it's just easy.
Yeah, and I mean look, Jalen Hurts this was super easy. He knew the coverage and he just stared down Goedert the whole time. You can see his eyes never left one place. Bobby Wagner passed it off. And look who's lost over here, Brady.
Bobby Wagner.
Marshawn Lattimore is in the wrong spot, right? This guy had I am interested to see what his grade is for PFF in this one.
Run this back, because honestly, he kind of does what the assignment is here. He gets a little too inside. This is just good scheming to me by Kellen Moore because it's covered three. Devontae Smith does kind of end up fading here or trailing to the inside towards that safety. But Devontae Smith is pushing Marshawn Lattimore vertically here. I think he should have stayed closer to the sidelines and could have tackled Goedert sooner than he was able to. But I don't fully put this on Lattimore. I don't put this really on Bobby Wagner either now that I watch it again. This is just a really good play call by Kellen Moore, in all honesty, to me.
I think it's a great play call. I also think Lattimore holds the post way too long when he knows he has inside help from a safety. Now, obviously, you can't rely on what else is going on in the field, but at that point, when you see him break a deep post off, I mean, he's starting to cut, I think, here at the 25, and that is 15 yards, I want to say, down the field. At that point, that's the deep safety, and
right.
Lattimore has to break back off and get back to his spot and feel what's out there. I mean, he doesn't get back to that spot, right? I mean, you see him turning. He doesn't get there till to the 10-yard line, and then they're in the red zone just like that. We know how good Philly is in the red zone.
Yep, 100%. So right here, this is going to be one of your plays. This is Zach Ertz. Let you take it from here.
Yep, and this is what I'm saying. Zach Ertz had a monster day against this Eagles defense, and we all know that Travis Kelce was very quiet against the Bills. What I will say is that Ertz is just finding these soft spots in the zone. Like he over the middle was open. He was open on short out routes. Now you see a corner route right here where he just finds a space between the safety, passes off from Bond. He gets a big gain here. I think Ertz finished with 11 catches for 130 yards. And I mean, he had a great game. Like this is a good play call here. And Ertz is just wide open. What are you seeing on this play?
So go back. This is really good play call, whether by design or just happened to match the coverage here. CJ Gardner-Johnson is a safety. He's going to be manned up on Zach Ertz. This is man coverage across the board. You're going to have Quinyon Mitchell here on De'Ami Brown, which, by the way, once you get later in this play, you can argue Jaden Daniels could have hit that for an even bigger game, but just let it roll here for a second. Watch De'Ami Brown. Watch his route. He just gets Darius Slay pretty much in the way of C.J. Gardner-Johnson. These two guys are completely in the way, impeding him from getting to the outside and keeping his outside leverage on Zach Ertz. It frees Ertz up completely, and Ertz ends up getting this ball. Daniels sees him wide open, but honestly, if Daniels waited another half second, look at De'Ami Brown. He was just as open, and I think
100%.
Ended up
he could have
scoring
hit him over the top for more.
But yeah, they could have got even more on this play, and that's another area where I feel like Kansas City excels is getting guys into concepts where they're levels and they force the defense to come up on what's underneath, end up putting something over the top of them 15 yards down the field. I think that just from watching this, like I know, again, I don't want to get too much into it because we're going to talk about it so much more over the next 2 weeks, but like I'm seeing a lot that really, to me, even though Philadelphia is an elite defense, I think I'm seeing a lot that Kansas City can exploit on the offensive end.
Yeah, I agree with you with that one. We're not gonna get into it at all. We're gonna keep our cards to our chest here because we're gonna have a ton of content for you guys coming.
100%.
All right, next play we got here. I think this is just another Jaden Daniels sack. Oh no, he gets it out.
No, this is Eckler.
Oh, this is the Eckler fumble. Austin Eckler has had a fumbling problem in his career.
Yeah,
I mean, this was the dagger. This was the chance that we talked about this. The Commanders had a chance. We were texting. We're like, man, if they get points or score here, it gets frisky. That was after the Frankie Louvu big stop, right? They moved the ball a little bit, and then Eckler fumbles. It felt like every time the Commanders wanted to come back in this game, they had a mental error, a personal foul, a fumble, whatever it was, the Commanders continued to not allow themselves to come back in this game.
100%. And right after this, let it roll. Who did the Eagles go to but number 26? They get the football back after a big turnover. Look at the blocking. Look at Saquon kind of nursing that calf injury there in the second half. Didn't get as many carries as we all expected. But I just want you to watch the Eagles offensive line on this play as well. Cam Jurgens, who we really didn't see for a lot of this game, he's in at this point, and he helps create this wall for Saquon. Look at Jurgens right there. You got Mekhi Becton absolutely putting in work there. You got Dallas Goedert here blocking off Frankie Louvu. And, I mean, this is a hole that you could drive a freight train through right here for the Philadelphia Eagles. Combine that with Saquon Barkley being the running back, and you get an explosive run. 21 yards, I believe, all the way down to the 1 yard line. And I think this was right before we got the Frankie Louvu trying to jump the tush-push fiasco 3 times in a row. Almost got rewarded a score. But Saquon, they get him in these situations where there's one man to beat. If we get – Last thing I'm going to say regarding the match, if we get Saquon one-on-one in a hole against Nick Bolton, you're going to get the same kind of thing.
I mean, yeah, he just completely outruns. I don't know who that is. He just cooks him. And, I mean, Saquon is just a different level an athlete. Just like I said earlier, Saquon has big holes. Saquon is a different athlete, and these are the big games you get. He is one of the best closers of the 2024 NFL season, and he doesn't even play quarterback.
100%. And so on this final play here next, this is one of my favorite things that the Eagles defense does, and that is widen Nolan Smith out a ton. They've got him outside of Terry McLaurin. Run it back here. Run it back. They've got him lined up literally outside of Terry McLaurin, who is the slot receiver on this play here. He's in a condensed formation here. They've got Nolan Smith. Here's the deal with Nolan Smith. Undersized outside linebacker, not the most technique type of guy, not the most polished pass rusher, but he is strong, he is fast, he is twitchy. You get him to a matchup like this where the left tackle has to cover this amount of ground against Nolan Smith, has to take this deep of a drop. Nolan Smith, this is where he becomes dangerous. We talked about the interior that the Eagles have. We haven't even gotten into the Eagles blitzing packages because they really didn't do a whole lot of it in this game. They felt confident getting home with 4, and they did get home with 4 plenty of times. But Nolan Smith, when they widen him out like this, just check out how the tackle just is unable to handle it. It's all the way out here. Just gets around. Too easy.
Bro, that looks like Wanya Morris out there.
Literally. I mean, Nolan Smith is a freak athlete. And if there's anything this defensive film shows you from the Eagles on Championship Sunday, draft guys that played football in the state of Georgia.
They do love that strategy. It worked out well for them for sure.
And if they still had Nakobe Dean, it'd probably be even more so. Nakobe Dean is balling before that injury.
100%. I mean, this is like I said, Philadelphia has an elite group of pass rushers that make them one of the best defenses in the NFL. And that's honestly one of the biggest factors that helped slow down that Commanders offense. Commanders, just didn't do enough to win the game. They had too many mental mistakes, too many fumbles, whatever it was. Brady, we're going to close this show with what the Commanders should be looking to improve in the offseason.
Yeah, I think that you need to get some additions on the offensive line. I don't think the O-line is quite there yet. I feel like it was kind of a scrappy group, if you can describe an O-line as that, but not necessarily a good unit.
Scrappy O-line group.
I think they definitely need a wide receiver too. I talked about this last night. Alameda Zaccheaus, De'Ami Brown, even if you are able to retain him, those aren't true wide receiver twos for a team that has a goal of making it to the Super Bowl, has a goal of establishing a long-term path for their young franchise quarterback. I think they should be all in on the Tyreek Hill sweepstakes if that does become a thing. I know Tyreek is talking about, or the Dolphins are saying maybe he's going to stay there. I still think they're going to at least test the waters with that, and if they do, Commanders should absolutely be in on that. I could see Deebo Samuel being a name for the Commanders. I could see Deebo fitting in this offense if they still have Kingsbury as the OC, especially next year. We've seen Deebo in these offenses where they like to get guys in space and let them run. I don't think his athleticism is what it was in 2021, but he also has Terry next to him and has Jaden Daniels who can extend plays, unlike the quarterbacks that Deebo has played with thus far, who have been majority pocket passers. And then obviously on the defensive side of the ball, I was really disappointed on a defensive front. I know they didn't have Daron Payne yesterday, but on the defensive front with Jonathan Allen, Daron Payne, I mean, they were horrible against the run. This team did not stop the run all year long. It cost them big time. It should have cost them against Detroit if Jared Goff played like he did all regular season, but they were able to get by and force a couple of timely turnovers. This defense can't stop the run, and they're really not good in the secondary. I do think that Mike Sanderstill is going to be a really good corner in the league. He was great at Michigan after he transitioned from wide receiver to corner. I think he had a really good rookie year. I think he stood up to some pretty tall challengers, but Marshawn Lattimore, he's cooked. They don't really have any good coverage safeties. Jeremy Chin is a good tackling safety, good run stopper, but defensively, you really gotta revamp things. You don't have a great pass rusher. Frankie Louvu is really your one guy that I feel good about besides Sanderstill on this defense. So you got to revamp the defense. You got to get a wide receiver too and shore up the O-line a little bit.
Yeah, I think one of the big things there for me is the offensive line. We saw C.J. Stroud have a big regression in year 2 with a bad offensive line. I think that Commanders unit is in danger of becoming a bad offensive line next year if they don't make improvements. The Texans, we didn't really have worries about their offensive line heading into this season. Injuries happen, players regress, and now C.J. Stroud had a major regression. And, people don't look at C.J. Stroud the same way they did after his rookie year. I think the biggest thing for the Commanders is they go out and invest in their offensive line, try to make this group better. Sam Cosmi obviously had an ACL injury. He will be out for a decent amount of next year as well. That's going to hurt this team. They need to go find some depth. They need to improve that offensive line. It's going to be a tough task. And I think the second thing instead of wide receiver for me is defensively. This is not an athletic group of players. And Dan Quinn wants to play an aggressive defense that takes the ball away from other teams. I expect them to go add a veteran corner that isn't washed. I think Lattimore will not be back for Washington. They need to improve their safeties as well. I don't think Bobby Wagner will be back next year. We will see. They need to improve the speed on their defense, and that starts with getting faster guys in the secondary and in the linebacker group. I think Frankie Louvu is a great piece for them, but they need more, right? They need more this offseason. And the NFC East is a tough division, even if the Cowboys are just stuck in mediocrity with Jerry Jones at the helm, and the Giants are going to be picking in the top end of the draft. But all in all, a tough division. You got the Eagles in there too. So I think the Commanders should go invest in that offensive line. Let us know down below what you guys think the biggest shortcomings were for the Commanders on the tape and what the Eagles did really well to move on to the Super Bowl for the second time in 3 years. Besides that, guys, we'll be back Thursday morning with a review of the Bills and Chiefs game film breakdown. And then we will have more content for you guys coming out during the Super Bowl. Reminder, we will be there Super Bowl Media Week providing exclusive interviews, exclusive content. If you guys want to tune into that, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and tune into more Blitz Sports Media content.
100%. Catch y'all later.